Welcome back to SoulShift, the podcast where real life science and soul all get a seat at the table. I'm Mindy Gorman-Plutzer, and I'm here with my beautiful co-hosts, Christine Morgenstern Shin and Allie Anderson. If you're new to SoulShift, this is a space for people, especially women in midlife, who are navigating big shifts in their bodies, their relationships, their work, and their sense of self. We talk about the moments that changed us and how to come home to yourself in the middle of it. Today, we're talking about burnout, that feeling of running on fumes, giving everything to your career, your family, your responsibilities, until one day you realize you've completely lost touch with yourself. You're exhausted, you're stuck, and the confidence you once had feels like a distant memory. And yes, we have introduced this topic in previous episodes of SoulShift, but today we're looking at it from a different lens, a different perspective. What if burnout wasn't the end of your story? What if it could actually be the gateway to your most aligned next chapter? What if confidence isn't something you're born with or something you've lost forever, but actually a skill? That's right, a skill you can rebuild through repetition, compassion, and what our guest calls messy action. Our guest today is Haley Scruggs, a career coach, singer-songwriter, and former tech recruiter who helps high-achieving women move from burnout to energized, sustainable confidence. After years of running on fumes herself in the tech world, Haley rebuilt her life through embodiment, creativity, and a commitment to daily mistake-making. She now teaches that confidence is a skill you build, not a trait you're born with. And through her signature program, A Lighter Way, she blends mindset, nervous system awareness, and soulful self-expression to help clients reconnect to their clarity and courage. Haley's original songwriting has been featured on Good Morning Lockhart and showcased on iconic Austin stages. She's AWS certified and has interviewed more than 10,000 people throughout her recruiting career. After negotiating a 42% salary increase in her last corporate role, she now helps burned-out women renegotiate their salaries, their boundaries, and the inner narratives that keep them stuck. Welcome to SoulShift, where modern science, ancient wisdom, and real life align.
SoulShift offers a peaceful pause in your week, a gentle reminder that meaningful change doesn't have to be overwhelming.
Together, we'll discover practical tools, we'll share authentic conversations, and honor the beautiful complexity of being human.
This is your invitation to breathe, to reflect, and to trust the process.
Thank you for being here. Let's shift
Gently.
Together. Haley, welcome to SoulShift. We are so grateful you're here and so excited to have this conversation.
Thank you. I'm so honored and excited to be here too. And Mindy, I just love your voice. I've listened to so many of y'all's episodes, so it's very cool to I'm a part of it. We're all here.
Thank you. Thank you for recognizing that, because our intention is to build something really special. So all of us really appreciate that testimonial. But today's all about you. So let's start with your story, because burnout is something so many of us have experienced, and many are unfortunately finding themselves in a position that could be tempting it. So you were in tech recruiting, as I shared, successful by all external measures, as I shared, but running on empty. So please take us back to that moment when you realized you were burnt out, and how your burnout moment became your biggest breakthrough.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I absolutely love that question. Before telling you more about that specific experience, I just want to define burnout, because everyone throws that word around and everyone is burnt out in some way or another. And so, we talk about burnout, but I talk to so many women who are like, I think I am, but I don't really know what that means. There's no, and so burnout, especially within the tech world, it's such a go, 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 KPIs, goals, achieving. And I myself being the workaholic, really hardworking, very perfectionistic person, I continually found myself from when I entered the tech world. And then for the past decade, I was finding these very fast-paced, very driven, very chaotic startups that thrived off of having teams of people who were just working themselves to the bone. And so burnout, it's this complete deprivation, a complete exhaustion of your energy, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And so for me, I'd been burnt out several times, but I'd never had this big until I'll take you back. I was standing in the middle of my kitchen, holding a kitchen knife. I was in fight or flight. My heart was pounding. And what had happened, I had just awakened from a nightmare. So I was a few months into this new job, my most recent corporate job. I was head of recruiting. And this was my first head of role, my first director role. And on paper, I had the title. I had an amazing, more money than I could ever make. I had a team. And from the second I started this job, my imposter syndrome was skyrocketed out of the roof. So it was I'm going to do whatever I need to do to be as successful as possible in this new role, in this chaotic environment. And I'm going to ignore everything else except work. And so how burnout was showing up for me, I'd lost a bunch of weight because I was not eating. I was just working hours and hours. If I did get time to eat, it was 2 minutes, something in the microwave. I had migraines that were constant. I was waking up in the middle of the night with night terrors. I was having panic attacks. And for the first time, really, I'm neurodivergent, but I started, only way I can explain it is like a teapot that is squeaking and boiling. I started stimming and twitching and not being able to control my noises, my body. So my whole body was screaming. And so this moment, I was in my room. I had been waking up in the middle of the night with these panic attacks, and this hooded figure attacked me, charged at me. And, I didn't even think. Next thing I know, I'm in my kitchen with a kitchen knife, so sure that there was someone upstairs ready to attack me. And once I was able to get my bearings, I realized my body is what is under attack, and everything feels like an attack when you are in such a state of fight or flight. And it was funny, when you're able to look back and see things clearly. So during this time, my body was on fire and in flames, not eating, not sleeping, not prioritizing friendships, anything other than work. My 2 cats, who were new, they were 2 little kittens, they both were quarantined because they had ringworm. And then my house that I own had a rat infestation in the roof. So I was like, we are infested. This is all infested, and it all stems from me. And so it was realizing it might not be my fault that we have all gotten here, but it is my responsibility. And I am the only one that can change it. And it was so reaffirming to have all the things that I had been yearning for and working for, and to be miserable, because it finally allowed me to realize I'm completely out of alignment, and I am completely disconnected to what actual success or fulfillment means outside of what I've been trained to think I should want. So that was my burnout moment. Everything's in flames. My roof is infected. My cats are infected. I thought I had bipolar because of all this stuff going on. And that was a turning point. That was a real turning point of a decision of, it's up to me. I am going to change this.
Haley, I really enjoyed listening to your story, just because I think we could probably all feel it in our soul, what you were going through. And while we may not have gone through the exact same thing, right? Like rat-infested ceiling, that's pretty intense right there. But I think we can all understand like what that must have felt like in your body, in your mind, in your soul, and how do you get out of it? A lot of us may not have that exact same story, but how do we start to recognize we're in burnout and realize we've hit the limit? Our pot has overboiled and the teapot is ringing. How do we realize like, I'm here. It is time for change?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I think that there is a pattern that I'm seeing in myself, in a lot of women that I work with, where it does take that sort of rock bottom, oh my gosh, my body and my health is completely not just at risk, it is gone. So how do you start to sniff out the burnt out smells before it fully envelops you? Yeah, I see a lot of different things. I'll speak to women in tech, but again, I think burnout in general, it's when it's not just exhaustion. It's not just like, oh, I need an extra nap or I need to sleep a few more days. It's when you're finding this prolonged exhaustion that cannot be solved by sleeping a little extra or taking a nap or taking a trip and disconnecting and then coming back and getting back into the swing of things. And there's several reasons for that, because burnout is a result of the continued habits and patterns of denying yourself what brings you nourishment, joy, creativity, fulfillment. So when I hear that people are working really hard and feeling numb, feeling irritable, feeling a complete disinterest in stuff they're doing, but also a complete disinterest and lack of energy to do the stuff they used to love. Like, one of my close roommates, she loves cooking and creating and making food. And I remember talking to her and she was like, I haven't cooked in several months. It's like, oh, that's a flag to consider. So a disinterest in the things that normally do bring you joy, because over time, when you are continually doing the things that are sucking away your energy, it also degrades your sense of self-worth. You feel crazy. You feel broken. Like, I'm doing what I've always done. That's gotten me success. And now it's no longer working. And I don't know what to do. I feel stuck and there's no way out. When there's that sort of trapped no way out, that's a sign that the walls of burnout have gotten so calcified in you that you cannot see any way out. So that's my answer to that.
Yeah. And Haley, I love how you're just getting deep in there and you're describing it to, I'm hearing physicality, and then also you're talking somatically and embodied in terms of, everything just literally, whether it's feeling narrow or just physically feeling that. And then, you hit your limit, right? And that is very helpful to our audience because maybe someone's not aware of what that inner feeling was or is when they're feeling a little off, So I'm glad you shared that. And it sounds like you've made just some really strong, significant changes that I've learned from your bio, like leaving corporate, becoming a coach, and what I personally love, integrating music and creativity. Like, so excited. And that's a huge, huge shift. How did you rebuild your confidence after that dramatic setback of burnout? And what were the first steps? Because I think this might be really inspiring for our audience to hear.
Yeah, I think that is a great question. The cool thing about confidence is that it can mean different things to different people. I mean, at the end of the day, confidence is, do you have trust in your own ability to do what you say you're going to do? Even that kind of rubs me wrong. Confidence is you have the trust in yourself to figure stuff out. So, I work with some clients where, confidence for them is, how can I develop an executive presence and navigate this promotion? And then for me, it was, how can I pivot out of the safety of corporate where I know the rules, I know how to play the game, I know how to be successful here, and let me completely exit that. And it all starts with, at least for me, for my coaching, for everything that we do, the growth mindset. I feel silly. Like, have y'all ever heard of Carol Dweck? Y'all know Carol Dweck? So Carol Dweck, 1970s psychologist, and she is the brainchild of the growth and the fixed mindset. So this fixed mindset is what you are born with is what you got. Are you really bad at driving? You'll always be bad at driving. Are you really bad at procrastinating and you can never get anything done? That's your lot in life. For me, one of my creative sort of blocks was I'm too behind to start playing guitar. There's no point in me learning guitar. I'm already too far behind and I'm really bad at it. And then the growth mindset, which you can apply to any sort of black and white thinking, is this beautiful gray in between that is focused on effort and learning-based baby steps. So I'm terrible at guitar and I'll never get better at it, versus every time I pick up the guitar, I am actively learning and I am getting better day by day. So when I pivoted out of corporate, one of the first things that I did was get myself a coach to really dig into, okay, what are not just the sort of fixed mindsets I have about launching my own business and all this stuff. What actually was the most surprising to me that I was having to work through, I thought, like, I'm going to leave corporate and I'm not going to deal with burnout anymore because I'm going to be doing something that's aligned and what I love. But I realized, I've left this environment, but all of my patterns of perfectionism, black and white thinking, workaholicism, fear of failure, fear of judgment, all those things were still here, but now in this like entirely different setting. So the first step, I call it, you reconnect. Like when you think about building a fire, let's say you come to this fire pit and there's old fire and coals and stuff. What do? You sweep the coals away and you really lay the foundation before you build your path, your fire, whatever. So it's reconnecting with your why. What is it that makes you feel alive? What are the things that do give you energy? So looking at your job, like what are the things that you love doing, that you get in a flow state of doing, that makes you feel like you are in flow and aligned and you get energy from doing that, versus what are the things that are continually draining your energy. There's been a lot of that this past year. I'll be honest, it's my first year of launching my business. So I'm not at this place where I can look back and be like, ooh, look at all this success. And so that has been such a huge piece of me building confidence as an entrepreneur, is knowing that like baby steps, you're gonna make mistakes. Mistakes are a part of it. They're required. So you better go out and get to mistake making. You collect those mistakes like money because your successes are built on all these mistakes, all this sort of stuff. And it's with your growth mindset that is the foundation that keeps you moving when you feel stuck, unmotivated, etc. Did that answer your question?
Absolutely. And first of all, I'm soaking up your enthusiasm. I can't even imagine how infectious you are with your clients in terms of inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
I look at all those little lessons like in trauma work, small titrations for the win, which is what you're essentially saying. And having those learned lessons like mistakes, you can consider them mistakes, or you could say, I can make mistakes and embrace it.
I will make mistakes.
Correct, right? And I love that you're teaching your clients to accumulate a bunch of learned lessons, hence the mistakes, because that's how we improve, enhance, and grow, right? So
yeah,
I love that. Thank you for answering.
It's something that you apply to everything. That's how I've finally gotten to this place where I feel confident saying, oh yeah, I am a singer-songwriter. There's so many things that have come to that place, and being able to say, oh yeah, I am an entrepreneur and a coach and I guess a content creator. So I tell people, like, if you feel uncomfortable and scared and it's like, perfect. That means you are exactly where you're meant to be. And that means you keep going. Comfort does not always mean good, right? Comfort can mean, oh, well, have daily migraines and I'm always exhausted, but I'm going to keep doing this for years because I feel safe and comfortable, because I know it and I recognize it. And our nervous system is trained to find what we recognize and to fear what is unknown. But anytime you want to build your confidence, anytime you want to achieve anything that you've never done before, it's all about basking in being in the unknown and training yourself of like, I feel unsafe. And that's okay, because of all these reasons, I can reassure myself.
And, I love that you tied the nervous system component into this and helping your clients feel comfortable in the uncomfortable. Your nervous system needs and wants you to feel safe, but that doesn't mean you can't experience glimpse of uncomfortableness, because that's how you grow, right? So you've shared that confidence isn't just mental, it's purely embodied. I personally think that it starts there, because it starts with us speaking our truth, with our authentic self. Can you speak more into this somatic part of confidence and what you think might be happening in our bodies? Or do you use somatics or embodiment with your clients and teaching them how to grow?
I do. My company right now is called A Lighter Way Consulting. This is a little tangent. And I got some feedback. It's like, ooh, it feels pretty religious, a little spiritual. But when I really started reflecting on my own growth journey and all the things that I incorporate into my coaching, the most impactful sessions I have are usually when I scrap whatever over planning I have done, and I am able to tap into the energy of what's going on, and we're able to do like inner child work. And because, yes, to answer your question, a regulated nervous system, not calm. I'm not saying a calm nervous system. A regulated nervous system is the starting place for being able to make aligned decisions, to hear what your body is trying to say. But we all humans, if you were little aliens that floated out of the sky and we're looking at humans just interacting with each other, we are all but little meat sacks bumbling about. And we have these experiences where something happens, we feel under attack, whether there's actually a bear attacking us, maybe it's just an email that is stressing us out, maybe it's that weird face that stranger gave and now you think they're judging you. We all perceive things and then go into a state of fight or flight. Some of us fight, some flight, some freeze. We see that with avoidance, with overwhelm, really common with women with ADHD, and then fawn, really common for women who deal with burnout, because fawning is overproducing, people-pleasing, always helping everyone else around you, but completely depriving your own self. So no matter what is happening, you can always trace it back to, are you fight, flight, freezing, or fawning? And then really figure out, okay, what are the beliefs that are going on in your mind right now that are telling your body, we are not safe, we are in fight or flight? And so much of when we are talking about getting into a new career or sending messages to strangers or doing anything that takes you out of your comfort zone, you go into fight or flight, and then you start going through your typical defense mechanisms. And so the crux of becoming a better leader, becoming a better partner, becoming more in line with your body is really self-awareness of how your body fights or flights. Because a lot of times this happens without any of us knowing what's going on. The somatics is breath, movement, sound. What are the ways that you are integrating breath, movement, and sound into the sessions I do, but also into your daily routine of being a human? So, and I will say too, my specific burnout story was pretty recent, but I have a history of years of encountering these patterns of extreme burnout. And it has, I trace my healing back to this really beautiful, this was like the spark of healing, was a yoga retreat where I learned all about the power of breath and how breath can heal your body, your nervous system, your thoughts. And it's true. It's not woo-woo. It's literally science.
Agreed. Thank you so much for sharing this.
You're so welcome. I'm sorry I'm talking a lot.
We love what you have to say. And I'm so excited that you brought up Carol Dweck, just because just this morning I introduced her work to the group that I host. And because we're talking about developing a mindset of abundance over scarcity. So we went through the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And it's fascinating, and it's also wonderful when we can introduce science to the work that we do, because so many people, especially high achieving women, they like that.
And Mindy, I feel like Haley has absolutely described our podcast where ancient wisdom meets modern science and real life aligns, right? And Haley, you sort of summed it up with the breath work is important, but the science is important. I love that all coming together. It's, to use your words, Haley, I've heard you say on your social profiles, it's messy action.
Messy, imperfect action. Yes, yes. The messy middle.
Messy middle.
Every day, I'm reminding my own self, girl, it's all good. This is it. Resilience feels terrible when you are actively building it. So if you're really struggling and frustrated, that's a good sign. You got to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. So expand on how those mistakes and this messy middle actually expands our capacity for joy.
Oh, I love that question. Thank you for bringing up joy. This society that we are in, of this very black and white thinking, especially in the corporate world, on your performance reviews, you better get a 5 or else you're not getting your bonus and blah, blah, blah. It's very, mistakes are not allowed. And when mistakes are not allowed, there is a lack of psychological safety. Psychological safety simply meaning I know that I can show up and I can be safe to be authentic, make mistakes, and I know that there's not going to be repercussions. I know I can go to my boss if I'm stuck or if I have questions. And I talk with so many women who come to me where they are in an environment where it's like perfection or failure, and those are the only two modes that they're being graded on. Anything that is black or white just sucks the beautiful joy out of things. So back to the question, how can continually taking messy action expand your ability to feel joy? Firstly, just like we would never expect a baby to know how to walk when they come out of the womb, it is unreasonable for us to expect anyone to successfully know what they're doing when they first start doing it. I'll just use singing as an example because that brings me so much joy. I've been singing and songwriting since I was 10. So much of it was in private, in quiet, did not share. I felt really uncomfortable sharing the songs I wrote with other people. And so one of the things that I realized is learning how to be a better singer is not the skill that I'm lacking confidence in. It's singing publicly in front of other people. And so I realized, okay, well, damn, if that's the skill that I want to get really good at, then that means I have to be really comfortable with being really bad at it. And so it just like, it takes the pressure off. It takes the pressure off. So it's like, okay, great. Let me go to open mics and let me flail about and make mistakes and start over at this open mic. So now I know if I make a mistake and completely start over, I didn't die. It was fine. I kept going. And so when you are continually making those mistakes, you're building trust. You are building trust in yourself that you will get through whatever it is that happens. So I performed this Cowboy Take Me Away, one of my favorite songs by the Chicks. I performed it at my dear friend's wedding, and I just put so much pressure on myself. And I messed up, and I had to start over, and it was like totally humiliating and heartbreaking, and I lived through it, and everyone was so sweet and loving and supportive, and it's like, okay, cool, great. Well, now I know what it feels like to mess up. And it makes you human. It makes you say yes to experiences and to people and to things that you would not say yes to before. And that's what brings you joy. Because when you make a decision, I see that, when you hear people talking through their decisions, they're either making a decision out of fear of failure, fear of judgment. And a lot of times it's deciding not to do what you really want to do because you're afraid. So decisions made out of fear. And then there are decisions made out of alignment with what you most deeply yearn for. And that comes with fear and judgment and all that kind of stuff. But that is the path that comes with joy that you can't even imagine until you let yourself be open to receiving it. So being open to building confidence is the avenue of cultivating gratitude, joy, all the things that make life worth living.
It's so beautiful. And what I think needs to be said from all of that is that the messy middle, the mistakes, the mess ups, the whatever it is that can, if you allow it, to make you feel less than, getting through it really creates a new platform for safety. It lets you know that I can mess up, but I can still be safe.
Yes, absolutely. It builds your trust in yourself and your ability to be safe, even though all the things around you might tell you otherwise. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And what I'm garnering from this conversation and this part of the discussion is that all of this is allowing you as a business owner, an artist, a singer-songwriter, to balance it all without burning out again.
Yes, I will say, because I want to be honest, like bouncing back from burnout, it's not like you did it and now you're safe and now you're free and you're never going to get burnt out again. My nature and just how all in and excited and like I get with stuff is like, okay, yeah, I like to flirt with burnout, but I've done it enough times where it was so detrimental that now, well, first off, I know the core beliefs that my gremlin is shouting in my ear or whispering in my ear. I know the beliefs that are like enforcing the habits that I know are not good. And then another thing that I think is really important for burnout is understanding your boundaries. And sometimes people feel like, well, I don't have any boundaries. It's like, yeah, that is a boundary, having no boundaries. And so now, I'm setting up my life and my schedule with my energy, but also knowing, okay, I know that when I go too all in and I stop my band practice and I ignore my weekly dates with my girlfriend and I don't prioritize playing with my cats and I don't go to the gym with my I know that is a recipe for burning out. And so there are things now that are non-negotiables that like, okay, yeah, Thursday morning I meet my two besties for our little run club and my girlfriend and I have our nightly sort of connection and check-in. And so there are things that for me, it's always related to connecting with other people and sort of baking that into my week and my month so that it's like, okay, yeah, last week I worked really hard and I overdid it. And that was an example of exhaustion rather than, oh, this has gone on for so long that now I'm so burnt out that I'm stuck again.
Haley, what I love you're sharing with everyone is beyond the fact that we can make mistakes and we're human and it's going to be okay. You're sharing that we can embrace this for the growth mindset. And you're also sharing that it's a learning step to become more aware of when a burnout trigger, I'll call it, might start creeping in. And then what type of safety or joy to bring into your life, which in your case, say, for example, of running with the girlfriend, right? And all of this is just really uplifting, I think, because most people think it's one extreme or the other, right? And so I know you mentioned the power of joy, the power of breath, the power of somatic work, all blended to help for recovering for burnout. Could we shift gears and look into a couple of practical tips for our audience? I'm sure if someone's listening right now and maybe they're in burnout or maybe they think they might be on the verge of it, what's one simple somatic practice someone can start doing today? So easy, they can just jump right in and try.
Yes. The easiest one or the most fun one is find your favorite, most energizing song and put that song on. And you don't have to dance. You don't have to move. You don't have to jump. I just want you to start shaking. Just start shaking. And, if you feel the urge to really move and dance along to that song, but a good, even 60 seconds of standing up, moving your body, getting your breath flowing shifts your energy. It is the fastest way that you can shift your energy is, again, movement, breath, and sound. Yeah, that's something that I use with my clients all the time. Of course, even more simple than that would be the 3 deep breaths in and out. I'm not sure why I'm hesitating to say that. I think because so many people are like, yeah. They're quick to push it aside. So I'm currently, every morning, my girlfriend and I wake up and we do little shaking and jumps to Taylor Swift's Opalite. We look forward to it now. And I usually hate waking up. So,
Well, think about it. You've anchored an activity that brings you joy to when you wake up. And so I'm sure that's bringing you more joy to someone who, as you just said, loves not wanting to get out of bed, right? You just totally reframe that and made it a joyful activity. I love that they were simple because that's what I think we all need in this modern day. And so once someone has shifted, so they've done the shaking or the dancing, how do you help clients then reconnect to more of that creative energy that you shared and really to their intuition so then they can actually use their intuition to become into alignment to whatever they're doing that day? It could be a task, it could be a project, it could be even figuring out their purpose, right? How do you shift your clients to be able to access that intuition?
yeah. Well, I will say, even before we do the shaking or any sort of actions, there is the exploration of, okay, so here's this iceberg, and you're at the tip of this iceberg, and you're really clear that problem is X. And I'm sure y'all know this. 99% of the time, what you think for sure is the problem is never actually the root problem. So one of the things that I have my clients do, a big writer, big journaler, and you do not have to know how to write. Everyone just stream of consciousness writing. But the questions I ask get people tapping into moments where they have felt creativity, joy, and that consistently goes back to you as a kid and your inner child. What were the things that you loved to do as a little kid? What were the things that you would get lost in hours doing? When was the last time in the last couple weeks that you felt excited? And what we're doing is really understanding, I call it energy mapping, right? And getting the sort of what energy and excitement and alignment feels like or has felt like for you, especially as a kid when there was no rules and shoulds and all this stuff that are getting put on you. So before I have my clients taking action on like the really hard, scary stuff, we tap into what brings them joy and creativity. So one of the things that I love, and I recommend anyone listening, do this week. Take yourself on an artist date. And this is from The Artist's Way, which is a book. It's a workbook. I've gone through it 3 times. It's truly such a transformational spiritual experience. But take yourself on an artist date. And that is when you go by yourself. You cannot go with someone else. You can meet strangers, but you go somewhere intentionally by yourself for 1 hour, 2 hours. And it can be anything. It can be taking yourself to the plant store. It can be getting some watercolors and listening to your favorite podcast at home. But it's something you're romantically creating a relationship with yourself as your partner and taking yourself on very sweet, very low-key dates just to start to prioritize creativity for the sake of it, joy for the fun of it. It's not for ROI and it's not to get, blah, 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 but it's really to get you out of your typical day-to-day and into fun and joy. And it's something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable exploring the idea of the artist date. So that would be something that I highly recommend.
Thank you for that. I want to make sure that our listeners, first of all, know where they can find you. So how can they connect with you? How can they learn more about A Lighter Way and your coaching work?
Yes. The best way to find me is on Instagram. So it's at Hello Haley Scruggs, HaleyScruggs. Or you can email me directly at hello@haleyscruggs.com.
And all that information will be in the show notes. But I just want to summarize for our audience the key teachings that you gave us today, right? You taught us that confidence is a skill you build, right? Not a trait you're born with. Practice it through the messy parts. Mistakes are evidence of growth, not proof of failure, right? Your failure actually is data for your resilience, creativity, and like we were just talking about, your capacity for joy. And burnout can be an invitation, right? It's not the end of your story. It's the gateway to the next chapter. So thank you so much, Haley, for this honest, inspiring conversation and for sharing your own journey with such vulnerability.
Thank y'all, Mindy, Christine, Allie. This was amazing.
It's just been such a wonderful reminder about what confidence can really mean for so many of us. And I think it's exactly what so many women in midlife need to hear. All the changes we go through as women in midlife with our bodies, our relationships, our worldview. So your perspective is enlightening, it's refreshing, and I know it's going to make a difference in many people's lives.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I truly thank you again on behalf of my SoulShift sisters. And to everyone listening, if you're in burnout right now or teetering on the edge, please hear this. You're not broken. You're not failing. Your exhaustion is information. Your body is calling you towards something so much more aligned, more sustainable, and more authentic. And remember, confidence isn't something you either have or you don't. It's a muscle you build through practice. And start small, make messy action, give yourself permission to make mistakes. That's where the growth lives. And as we always say here on SoulShift, small shifts create big transformations. And sometimes the most powerful shift is recognizing that your burnout is not the end. It's the beginning of something lighter, truer, and more alive. And again, if this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who's running on fumes and needs to hear that there is another way. And if you're new here, welcome to the community. Welcome to the SoulShift family. Subscribe wherever you can, wherever you listen to podcasts, and join us every week as we explore the moments that change us, the nervous system behind it all, and how to come home to yourself. Until next time, keep shifting your mind, igniting your soul. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for sharing the sacred time today.
We hope something in this conversation touched your heart
And offered nourishment for your soul's journey.
Remember, transformation is most effortless when it happens one tender shift at a time.
Until next week, we invite you to carry one insight from today into your life.
Not as a task.
Think of it as a superpower to yourself.
If something resonated, we'd love to hear from you. If you're joining us on YouTube, feel free to leave us a comment below.
Your words ripple outward, offering connection and comfort to others walking this path beside you.
If SoulShift feels like home, please subscribe and consider leaving us a review.
Your support will help us reach more hearts that need to hear they're not alone.
We're holding you in love, so know you're not alone. Your journey matters.
May your heart be filled.
And may your path be filled with grace.